My step two was that I'd worked out that I really enjoyed working with the guys that had been injured in the workplace for two reasons. The one was they weren't really being treated very well in the current system because they're complicated patients. They would be arriving with a broken finger and find out that they haven't, he hasn't been back to work for 3 weeks, and you think, yes, how is that? So there was quite a lot of a feeling in the industry of, yes, just malingering. The guys don't want to go back to work. But what I'd realised, and this was in the old practice, is we'd set up a centre where we started sort of focusing on the workman comp guys, and I did a lot of reading what was happening in Canada and Australia, and you realise that these guys are the disability that you're seeing. So the injury is the broken finger maybe, but the disability is that he's not back at work yet, and he's telling you he can't wash the dishes and he can't do all of these things. So the disability isn't linked just to the injury. There are just so many other factors around there. So I started really reading up and finding out all the, and it's all been researched. It's been really the last sort of 15, 20 years that's been quite a lot of change happening in there. So the guy, I remember this one guy that literally had been off for about 3 or 4 weeks with and the doctor had said, it's a lot of rubbish, you must go back to work. And I sat with him and I just said, why aren't you back at work? What's happened? And he went off for like 10 minutes about how he used to be doing this job and he was being paid that, and then they moved him to this other job that was lower paying, and then he hurt his finger, and now so it was all there were things, finances that were being affected, and there were real injustices that he felt was happening. So, and this was coming out in terms of lots of medical costs. But in fact, it was not a medical issue. But what I saw was happening overseas is that the medical people are the best position to deal with that. So the employer can't really deal with that because they're just trying to put him in. The doctor's just making sure that the finger's now been set right and it's sorted. So they come for rehab. So we need to understand what are all the things that are stopping this guy from getting back to work. And then we must treat those. So often as a physio and as an OT, we might think, okay, well, the thing that's stopping him is his finger isn't bending far enough. That's not what's stopping him. His finger actually doesn't even need to bend that far for his job, and it's not really hurting him. But what's tripping him up is he thinks, maybe if I make a big noise, they're going to promote me, or I'm going to be able to get back to my job, or I'm going to get a big payout because I've been treated badly, or and someone needs to sit with him, and that's what our job is as rehab therapists, is sit with him and say, it's not right, it's what happened, but it's actually got nothing to do with your finger. That's just life. Your job changed, it happened. And the fact is that if you don't get back to this job, you're going to lose it. And this is what the labour law shows, that you can lose it. And no, there's no big payment coming to you. Whether you deserve it or not, it's not my place. But there is no payment coming to you. And someone needs to tell you that, so that you can decide, okay, what am I doing? How bad is this? Do I need to just suck it up and for the sake of my kids so I can carry on earning a salary? Do I go back? And then maybe start looking for another job with an employer that I enjoy more. But if you use the injury as a reason to lose your job, that's the first thing the next person that wants to employ you looks at, and you're going to jeopardize your chances of. And in a country like ours where the unemployment is so high, it's just ludicrous, And you often, the patients are so, like when you sit with them and talk, it's like a light goes on, because they no one's actually ever spoken to them and said, no, it's not like that, and it's actually, even though it's a hard conversation, it's actually a gift because they can either accept it, and I've had patients that just say, I don't believe you, I deserve this, no one told me that floor was slippery and I slipped on it and it's not fair, whatever. And then they come back to me later and said, I lost my job, I'm on the streets, got nothing. But a lot of patients got it, and said, okay, I need to get back to work. I mean, this guy in particular, he was back at work the next week, and he was coping fine. He wasn't at his job that he was at before, because that was a different labour issue. He wasn't going back to that original job. That was internal stuff. So he got his head right. And I think that's the thing with life, is if we can get our heads right, we can do anything. And a lot of what physio and OT is a bit of psychology as well. We're not psychologists, but we certainly, you touch a patient and you're involved with them, and so therefore you can really build rapport and really get people to trust that you are doing what's best for them.